Good morning, Ken.
Morning, Your Honor.
You can hear me now.
Your volume's pretty low, but I can hear you.
All right, let me adjust that. How's that?
You cut your first part of your sentence cut out, but the volume is fine now.
All right.
Your volume's pretty low, but I can hear you.
I'll crank it all the way up. Is that any better?
Yeah, that's plenty loud there. You cut your first part of your sentence cut out, but the volume is fine.
All right. Well, I just brought you in this time, so I'm
Okay.
not talking to everyone and everybody's wondering what I'm saying.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to let everyone else in.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's plenty loud there.
I gotta mute my
YouTube? Yeah.
All right, I think our Polycom isn't working today, so I'm having to use the interface on a computer, and I haven't used it in a while, and it was giving me fits.
Ah, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna let everyone else in. Okay, Shannon, you can put us back on the record. Good morning, everyone. If you haven't already discerned, we're having some technical problems this morning. I think at least we are now ready to proceed. I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. First case I have up today is Breeze versus Breeze. I see Ronald Breeze in the courtroom. I do not see anyone for the defendant. So, Mr. Breeze, have you been in communication at all this morning with either Ms. Breeze or her attorneys?
No, Your Honor, I have not.
All right, for whatever reason, they've not shown up. I will keep an eye on whether or not somebody else shows in. I won't make you stay here connected for too much longer. It could be that the attorney is tied up in another courtroom. I'll check back in a little bit. I'll put you in the waiting room for now, okay?
Sounds good, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Chalecki versus Chalecki.
George Trushin,
Mr.
present.
Trushan, you represent the plaintiff, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And let me see, do we have either of the parties here?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay, I see that Mr. Chalecki is present. You're expecting your client this morning, Mr. Trushan?
I am, Your Honor. I spoke to her last night. I sent her correspondence on November the 6th. I spoke with her. She was to be online with us today. I don't see her though.
No, and there's no one else in the waiting room. I do have one telephone number ending in, looks like 8338. Could you tell me your name, please?
My name is Randy Straub.
All right, Mr. Straub, I'm going to label this so I know who you are. And I'm
Okay,
going to put you back in the waiting room.
thank you.
But I'll know who you are to let you back in when it's time for your case.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, well, we don't need your client to proceed with the motion, Mr. Trueshan, since you are here representing her.
Your Honor, the record should reflect I'm attempting to call her right now, but getting no answer. This was just, I believe, a review, Your Honor. We have a current court order that's been in place since November the 27th of 2019. And this is just set, what I see today, Judge, has been reviews. This is a, review of visitation order, Your Honor. So I've had very limited contact with my client since our last court hearing. I'm assuming everything has been going well, but it sounds like you and I may listen to Mr. Chalecki and see what's been happening.
Mr. Chalecki, what's your view as to how the parenting time has been going?
It was going well up until I'd say a month or so ago. We had moved forward. I was getting overnights. I'd pick Octavia up at 10 o'clock Saturday morning. I'd drop her off between 4 and 5 o'clock on Sunday evening. She would cry when she went to bed sometimes because she was afraid of the dark. So I bought her a new night light and put it next to her bed, and problem was solved after that. So that was the only issues we had. Jenny had left the household in that time, or in about the last month and a half when everything started going bad. And we went to Octavia all of a sudden doesn't want to leave for some reason. And I can imagine it's emotional distress because that's a major change in the household. But Brittany doesn't seem to agree or think that way with me. And she just wants to fight it and keeps keeping Octavia home and instead of letting me take her. And now she won't let me have her overnights. And I've asked her numerous times why with no answer. So that's why I called your secretary to reschedule this hearing so I could do something, so I can get the time that I feel I deserve. And I do have the house now. I have the girls in a room to themselves. Oliver is in a room to himself downstairs, and we have a room of our own. So all of Brittany's concerns there with Oliver being in a room with Octavia, excuse me, have been resolved.
All right, so Mr. Chalecki, what I'm going to do is schedule a time in the very near future where I can actually take some testimony. And the purpose would be for expanding your parenting time.
Yep.
Since you've voluntarily been exercising more than I ordered, my expectation would be, unless I hear a good reason from Ms. Chalecki, that we would at least amend the order to provide you for that parenting time that you were exercising. But I do want to hear from her to get her version of what's going on. So what I will have my secretary set a time where I can actually take some testimony, and we'll see if we can't get this problem resolved for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Judge,
thank you. Mr. Trueshan, do you have any other matters with me this morning?
I don't, Your Honor. I was just going to indicate if we could see if Ms. Chalecki's out there somewhere. Again, I've tried twice this morning by phone, but.
She's not logged in.
And the second thing is, Your Honor, you'll send us notice of this new review date?
Yes, Dawn will send you something.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day, Mr. Chalecki.
Thank you. You
Next matter is Fagan versus Fagan.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning. This is set for entry of a judgment of divorce. I've got a proposed judgment for divorce in the file. Is this something that both of you have approved?
No, Your Honor. This is one, if you recall, we came back to you for some clarification. You provided that. I was going to make some changes to the one that you have there in front of you, which I have done. Unfortunately, I had some COVID exposure and I've been in quarantine the last couple weeks. So it just prevented me from getting that to Miss Fleming as quickly as I would like. I did get that to her last night, but unfortunately that didn't give her enough time to get it to her client before this morning. So my understanding is that Miss Fleming's approved it. So I think we have an approved order at this point. Just logistically, I didn't get it to Miss Fleming in enough time for her to get it back from her client.
All right. What I'll do is I'll put the status conference over for 2 weeks. As long as the judgment is submitted before then, there would be no need to appear.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you.
I do have it. My client's coming in this afternoon to sign it. I'll sign it and I'll get it over to Mr. Hilderly's office today.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Yep, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, next up is Good versus Bristow.
Morning, Your Honor. I'm looking for Mr. Bristow. I don't see him.
If he's not logged in, he's not in the waiting room. Do you want to try to get a hold of him, or what's your pleasure here?
Yes, Your Honor, if you could put me in the waiting room, I'll endeavor to get a hold of him.
Okay, I'll do
Please.
that. And let's see. Bremeler versus Hayford.
Yes, Your Honor. Attorney Kyle here on behalf of plaintiff Matthew Bremiller. I don't believe the defendant Kelsey Hayford is present.
His name is Kyle DeBrucker. Oh,
Yes.
It says Kyle on here.
Yeah, Kyle DeBrucker
That's
on
easy
behalf
to
of
fix.
Matt.
So, I'm sorry, say your name again.
Kyle DeBrucker. I'm an attorney with the Kronzik firm on behalf of Matt Bremiller, plaintiff in this case.
KYLEDEBRUYCKER. And his client, Mr. Bremiller, is also present. Doesn't look like there's anybody here on behalf of the defendant. And the motion is to clarify the parenting time order.
That is correct.
I've got a telephone number. Occasionally people have trouble logging in. I'm going to try to call Ms. Hayford.
Okay.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless. The number you dialed has been changed, disconnected, or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. Announcement to switch to 1-21. The number you have dialed is not in service.
All right, that was the number you had for her on the pleadings. Obviously, it's not working. She's not in the waiting room. and it does not appear that she's in the courtroom. She was notified of this hearing, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, we did send her a copy of the motion and the notice of hearing to her last known address. It was returned to us. She no longer apparently lives at that address. We do believe she's living with her current boyfriend. And we did send a copy to his address as well. That was not returned. I do believe the plaintiff, Matthew, did have some contact with her, so she's aware that this hearing is this morning.
All right, and the concern here is exposure of the minor child to a registered sex offender. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the previous parenting time order, which was entered on September 22nd, 2020, does state that he should not be present during her parenting time. However, she's construed this to mean that the children can set up contact with him through, FaceTime, Zoom calls, as well as bring them to his residence and leave them in the car essentially while she has her visits. And we would just like to clarify the order.
Counsel, I believe your motion is well founded. I'm going to grant it. I'm going to sign the order that you prepared and proposed to me. I have done that. We'll make sure that that gets mailed out promptly.
Great, thank you, Your Honor. Just real quick, we have 2 hearing dates coming up in December. I'm not sure if there's a need for them any longer or if you want to leave them on your docket for now. Just wanted to point that out.
Pre-trial and a trial. Do we have a final custody order?
Well, it was a temporary order, and from my understanding, it is just a temporary order currently.
So I need to keep the hearing on. I don't know why the confusion, but normally when the friend of the court does a recommended order in a custody case as opposed to a divorce case, it's a recommendation for a final order. But for whatever reason, occasionally they go ahead and issue it as a temporary order, like what would happen in a divorce case where I have to do a trial. But since it's scheduled, since it's designated as a temporary order, and the defendant has been notified of a trial, I think I do have to keep that on the calendar. If she fails to show up for either the pretrial or the trial, my inclination is to simply make the temporary order a final order. But I don't think I can do that today since she didn't get any prior notice of it. She got prior notice of the motion hearing, but she didn't get prior notice of anything that would suggest that this temporary order was going to be made permanent.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll plan to see you at the pretrial on December 3rd.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Okay,
Ron.
thank you. Have a good day. Okay, Mr. Breeze, no one has showed up. I don't know if the defendant has chosen to withdraw the motion, but obviously nothing's going to happen on it this morning, so you don't need to worry about it.
Okay, Your Honor. So does that mean the motion's still in place, or are we just throwing it out?
Well, I'm not granting it today.
Okay.
And the only circumstance under which I would grant it is if he renotices it for hearing at a later date, gives you advance notice, and then we'd have a hearing. But as of today, I'm not granting the motion.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Sorry to keep you waiting.
No worries. Have a good day, sir.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Rowley versus Keller. Oh, I gotta let Mr. Fallahy in, hold on. Bless you. Bless you. Good morning, Mr. Fallahy. I just called the matter of Rowley versus Keller. I see that Ashley Keller is present. And is that your client, Ms. Rowley, that I see on Kimberly's iPhone?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So both parties are present. Go ahead with your motion. Well, what is this?
Judge, yeah, we filed a complaint. We filed a complaint for grandparenting time, and Ms. Keller had filed what appears to be an answer. I don't know if that was filed with the clerk's office or not, but I received it at my office, and so I just scheduled.
It was filed, and I do have that here.
Okay, so I guess my thought for today, Judge, I wasn't sure if we'd get a scheduling order or how this would work, because these types of cases aren't filed as regularly as other custody and divorce cases. So I guess I would just ask the court to schedule an evidentiary hearing on the issues raised in our complaint, unless Ms. Keller is willing to agree to some form of grandparenting time. But I guess based on the response that she filed, I'm assuming she won't be agreeable with that.
No, I'm not agreeable with that.
All right, well, I will get the matter scheduled for an evidentiary hearing. I'll take testimony. Actually, I guess we can simply schedule it for trial.
Yeah, either
Since
trial or.
doing an interim,
That's fine.
I'll get a trial date set at the earliest possible date.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Okay, and let's see.
Judge, will I receive something in the mail about the trial?
Yeah, right, you'll get a notice.
Okay. And what is this, like to bring in witnesses or something?
Absolutely. This is where I will take testimony and decide whether or not I should award grandparenting time.
Okay, one of my children would actually like to speak with you. She don't want to go to Kim's. And she's 14.
I can certainly set a time for her to, for me to, how many children are involved?
2.
I will have my secretary get a hold of you. I will have my secretary get a hold of you before the hearing and set up a time for me to interview the 2 children, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Peter? Do you have that file I just handed you?
Yep.
I got to add to the note. Okay, let me,
Hello?
yes, this is a matter of Good versus Bristow. I see that Tina Good is present. Mr. White is present. And what is your name, sir?
Todd Bristow.
Oh, okay. So Mr. Bristow is now present. Mr. White? Okay. Yes. This is a matter of Good. I'm sorry, I'm just writing myself a note so I don't forget something. White is present. And what is your name, sir? All right, somebody's got a YouTube playing in the background. Could you mute that, please? Okay. Still hearing it. Sorry, I'm just writing myself a note so I don't forget something. Mr. White, is that you? All right, somebody's got a YouTube playing in the background. Could you mute that, please? Okay. So this is a motion to set aside an ex parte personal protection order. And Mr. White, I'm assuming since you're here, your client desires to have this set aside.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Good, when I issue a personal protection order on an ex parte basis, that means without a hearing, at a hearing to terminate, we proceed as if there is no personal protection order, and you have to convince me that keeping one in place is necessary. Let me ask you, do you still wish for the PPO to remain in place?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm gonna take some testimony from you. Would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do, sir.
State your full name for the record.
Tina Marie Good.
It's good. According to the petition, it says you live at 3001 Blackman Road, Jackson, Michigan. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And how long have you lived there?
1 year, a little over 1 year.
All right. And what is the nature of your relationship with Mr. Bristow?
He is my ex-husband.
When were the two of you divorced?
And I left him May 7th of 2015. The divorce was finalized in July of 2016.
All right. And did the two of you have any minor children?
At the time, we had one minor child who was 14, my son, Tyler Bristow. As of right now, my children are ages 19 and my daughter is, my son's 19 and my daughter is 26.
Okay. Could you tell me why it is that you believe a personal protection order is necessary?
Because Mr. Bristow has threatened my life. I do feel like I am in fear for my life. For 6 years, I have been dealing with text messages, voicemails, for until my son graduated. Due to the family court, I had to keep his phone number in case we had a situation with my son. We were supposed to be able to contact each other. Once my son graduated, I did block his phone number.
All right. And your son graduated when?
2019.
So for the past year, his phone number has been blocked. Has he still been contacting you?
Yes, he ended up getting a new phone number. That one I blocked as well. And that was a Florida number. And then he ended up with a second Florida number. And now that one is blocked too, as well.
You indicated earlier that he has threatened to kill you. Tell me when he did that and what exactly did he say?
I do have a voicemail that you could listen to if you're okay with me playing it.
before you do that, let me ask you whose voice is on this voicemail
Todd Bristow's.
and approximately when was this message left on your phone?
The end of last year.
All right, you can go ahead and play it.
Okay, thank you.
At 11:18 p.m. from 51720668815. Duration 1 minute 19 seconds.
Okay, Smith, your points proved. I fucking love you more than anyone in my life. I can't get over it. I'm gonna kill Ricky and let him hear it. You, him, the prosecutor, because I'm gonna kill myself too, but anyway. Why are you doing this? You're motherfucker, and I know I was a dick through my life. I would treat you like biggest fucking queen ever. Stop being a fuckhead. I fucking love you. I fucking love you. We're married. And look it up. When you get divorced, you go to the devil. The one that cheated. That's you. Huh? Guys, stop being an asshole. I fucking love you. Asshole. Get here now. Fucking now. Leave that fucking piece of garbage. I will tell his fucking mom's house out the door and I don't give a fuck.
That's the end of that voicemail.
Okay. Anything else that you would like to tell me to convince me to keep this PPO in place?
He showed up at my house.
When was that?
That was just recently on October 12th. Actually, I'm trying to think, because it was, he started making phone calls on Sunday night. They went through until 11:30 in the morning the next day, Monday morning. I received multiple phone calls. He showed up at my house. First he did a wellness check on my son. So the police showed up at my house because I was not answering my phone calls. So he called the police and did a wellness check. The police officers were stating to me that he's in Florida and wanted a wellness check on my son. I told him no, that he's been in Michigan for 3 weeks. And the cops ended up leaving and they were making a phone call to him. Within 10 minutes, Todd was calling me. I did end up answering the phone that time. He said, I'm pulling in your driveway. This was within 10 minutes after the cops left. So he backed into my driveway. I do have a camera system. I can prove to you that he backed into my driveway. He left after my son went out and told him to leave. I did call the police officers back. They said I received a phone call from my cousin, Ken Gorney, who stated that Todd wanted.
As to what, Your Honor, what Ken Gorney said would be hearsay.
That would be hearsay, man.
Okay, so I end up calling the cops back after having a conversation with him, and letting the cops know that he wanted to meet with me at Airport Myers. The cops stated that they would go there and issue him with a no trespassing. I continued to receive phone calls until 11:30 that morning. He was continuously driving by my house after As far as I know, the cops did talk to him at the airport Myers. He was driving by my house all night long. After that. Did not pull in my driveway after that, but he was driving by my house.
And you are fearful that he's going to continue to engage in the behaviors that you've described.
This has been going on for 6 years. I'm mentally exhausted. He's shown up at my work. That was on August 30th, and a Jackson auto glass car. There's video at my place of work where he was driving through the parking lot multiple times prior to me getting to work, and then parked across the street. And then he did, when I arrived at work, my work start time is 2:00. He pulled over and just yelled out my name. I would not speak to him. I just kept walking and walked into my work.
All right, Mr. White, you have questions for her?
Just a couple, Your Honor. Ma'am, when Mr. Bristow came to your house in October, he was concerned about your son, wasn't he?
So he stated.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your answer.
From what the cops stated, yes, that's what he was said.
Didn't Mr. Bristow tell you he was concerned about your son's drug use?
I spoke with Mr. Bristow on the phone after that, and he stated that that I think our son is on some drug called beans. He said, I know about these because they have them in Florida. And he stated that they are ecstasy mixed with meth. My son works from 4:00 in the evening till 12:30 at night. He's home. He was in bed at the time when the cops came. I did offer to get him up, and actually my son did hear because of the door and ended up coming out of his room and talking with the police.
The phone call that you played for the court, when was that? You thought that was sometime in 2019?
The end of last year.
So roughly almost a year ago.
I have more voicemails that are current if you'd like to listen to them.
But the one you played was roughly about a year ago, right?
Correct.
Did you call the police?
I've filed a PPO when
Did you call the police last year, a year ago, when you got that phone call that you played? Did you call the police then?
No, I did not.
So you didn't take those threats serious then, did you?
I did take them serious.
Not serious enough to call the police though, right?
Well, I ended up speaking with my daughter. My daughter stated he was not leaving.
Your daughter's not a police officer. What I'm saying is you didn't call the police and you didn't get a PPO a year ago, right?
Correct.
And you didn't get a PPO or file a police report on any of these other supposed threats by Mr. Bristow, did you?
No, I did not.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Well, I did get one PPO and they washed it. The judge washed it. My attorney filed for it. I filed for it. At the time that I was filing for this PPO in the beginning, I was sitting downstairs in the courtroom in the courthouse filing the PPO. I looked, somebody said, Tina, I looked up, it was Todd. And he asked me, please do not file this PPO, come and talk to me. I've been with this man, was with this man for 26 years. I know how he is. So for him to stop, he said, will you follow me? And I end up following halfway and turned around, went back, filed the PPO. He knew I filed this PPO. He turned around and filed another PPO. When I spoke with my lawyer, he stated the judge washed both the PPOs because they were both filed.
The fact is, you tried to get a PPO previously and you were denied, weren't you?
Yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
So Ms. Good, when you received this voice message that you played for me, where was Mr. Bristow living at the time?
He was living in Michigan.
Okay, Mr. White, I'm assuming you're going to want to present testimony from your client.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Bristow, would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
State your full name for the record.
Todd Wayne Bristow.
Go ahead, Mr. White.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bristow, where do you reside?
I live in North Brooksville, Florida.
How long have you
Mr.
lived
White.
there?
I have lived here since I moved to Florida, sold my house, so it's been since September 1st of 2019. I lived with my family, and then I bought a 21-acre ranch here in Florida 6 months ago.
Now, you heard the phone call that Miss Good played, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Can you tell the court the circumstances around that phone call?
Well, I can tell you what that was, Eric. I had a really, really hard time getting over. When I got married, I was married for life. My mother passed away, then that's when Tina chose to move on. She moved on really rapidly, and it really crushed me. I was in a 7-year depression. I was drinking fists of whiskey. I had all these businesses, 50 employees, and I was so unhappy, and all I wanted was my wife and family together. And it decimated my son. He was on the honor roll all the way through 8th grade. He was one of 6 kids out of the entire Northwest schools, perfect grades all the way through 8th grade. Then it was a roller coaster ride, and all I really wanted, I never pressed. I begged her. I said stupid things. I've never had intentions of hurting anyone. I'm a retired police officer, businessman, totally clean criminal history. I was mad. I was drinking. I've totally stopped drinking. I'm totally involved with a humongous Christian church that's nationally syndicated here. And I'm in the process of taking half of my ranch for a Christian camp. So that's what I'm working on. And anything else, I'm sorry for going off track. I was just telling you what I'm doing.
So why did you show up at Miss Good's house on October 11th or October 12th?
Okay, first I'll start with my purpose of being there. My son, he's 20 years old now. He was running my business in Michigan Center. I have one business left. I'm 50% owner currently, and I sold 50% because of my son. My son embezzled $15,000 from me. That I'll take that up with him. I don't want no criminal stuff, but so he had a really bad drinking problem, 2-person injury accident approximately a year ago. So Judge Goostree was amazing, let him walk easy. I mean, this kid got off probation within 6-8 months, and I think that system off the record needs to be revamped a little. He got slapped on the hand, and he went right back in it. He's working at my shop, and I have to come to Michigan. This 30-year business is going to close because my kid's sinking it. And I did give a young kid too much responsibility, but I thought he had a gift like me. I started in business buying stuff when I was a kid. I've worked for myself my whole life.
Let me get you back
myself
on
as well.
Todd.
I'm sorry. Go.
Todd, let me get you
Okay.
back on track here. Why did
Sorry.
you go to the house on October 11th or 12th?
Oh, so I was up there too, selling the business. So the night I was leaving for Florida right then, driving to Florida, it drove me nuts. My son was drinking. All I could smell was alcohol. When we let him go from the shop, he came visit me 2 PM, alcohol. He just injured 2 other. Yes. So I called Tina, And I said, will you bring Tyler outside and you can bring your husband out. I'll back in the driveway with my 4-ways on. She's got a camera. She said, you can see it. I didn't even get out of my truck. And I said, will you bring Tyler out so I know you got him in your wing? Because this kid is headed to prison. He's going to kill someone. And then I heard this bean drug is circulating up here. What is going on in Florida that's killing people? That's what was my concern. Tina said, yeah, I'll go talk to Rick. Probably be no problem. I had no idea the police was already there for the welfare check. I hadn't heard back with them. I had went to the state police post, Blackman, asked several
Todd,
yeah.
Todd, you got to focus here.
Okay.
Okay. Listen to my questions carefully. Okay. So at some point you called the state police for a welfare check for your son. When was that?
That was before I was leaving for Florida. I wanted to be assured my son was
Stop.
okay.
Stop. No, just answer my question. When was it?
That was that evening before I was leaving for Florida. I don't know the exact times.
October, is that correct?
Yes, the last time I was in Michigan, right.
Okay. What did you tell the police that you wanted a welfare check for Tyler?
For my son I was worried about the drugs and he has a drinking problem. I can't contact the mom. She won't answer the phone.
Todd,
I
stop,
just want to make
stop. You got to focus here. Just answer the question you get asked, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not understanding it. Can you put it another way, Eric? I'm not understanding.
What did you just tell the court? You told the officer that you thought your son had a drug and alcohol problem. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And they promised you they would check on him. Yes?
They said they would check on him and call me. The officer called me. He said, I'll get back with you.
Stop. You got to focus here. You got to answer just the question I'm asking you, okay?
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't, just listen to the questions. So, did the officer ever call you back? Yes or no?
The officer did not call me back. Way later, yes.
Okay. So when you didn't get the call back from the officer, is that when you went to your ex-wife's house?
That's when I talked to her on the phone for a long time.
Stop. Just listen to my question and answer it, okay? Yep. Is that when you went to your ex-wife's house?
Yes. When I didn't hear back from the officer.
No. You just got to answer my question. That's yes or no, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you went there, did you make contact with your ex-wife?
No.
You never talked to her when you were there?
No. My son ran out.
No, stop. Todd, stop. Remember, you just got to answer my questions, remember?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to totally just answer. Okay.
Perfect. So you didn't have any contact with Tina when you went to the house to check on your son, right?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you actually talk to Tyler?
Yes.
Did he come out to your vehicle?
Yes.
Were you satisfied that he was clean and sober?
Yes. And I was satisfied that I knew his mom knew. I was leaving.
Stop. Todd, stop. Remember? Stop. Just got to answer the question, remember? So you verified that Tyler's doing well. Where did you go then?
I went to McDonald's to get a sandwich to leave for Florida.
Did you call Tina? In her PPO request, looks like she said that you called her 17 times from the Meijer there?
Well, because
no.
See this?
No, Todd, stop. Just got to answer my questions, okay? Did you call her 17 times?
I don't know how many times because our conversation was great. I thought we were meeting outside my understanding. And then Tyler came. I wanted to make sure, just please let me know my son's taken care of. And I left for Florida. That's all.
Let me stop you there. So you called her several times after you were at the house, making sure that Tyler was okay, right?
Because on the phone, Eric, she said she would come out and talk to me. She was sure her husband was okay with it.
Stop. That had already occurred. You've already left there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you left there and you called Tina several times from Meyer, right?
Eric.
Right?
Yes, I was just trying to, yes.
Okay.
I don't know how many times. Okay, go ahead.
You've already verified that Tyler's okay. Why did you call however many times it was after you were there?
Just to make sure she was taking it serious, that he has a drinking and possible drug problem. Whether you work or not, you can have that. And I wanted to make sure my son was taken care of, Eric.
Did you and those times that you called, she says 17, those times that you called, did you actually talk to Tina then and verify that she was taking it serious?
I can't remember everything. I can tell you I left feeling good when I left Michigan, and I have no plans of coming back. I can't for a long time. I'm building a big business.
Stop, Todd.
Okay.
So did you have any contact with the police at Meyer? Did they come and see you?
Yes.
Okay. Why did the police officer come see you at Meyer?
For trespassing.
Because after you were given this warning not to go back to your ex-wife's house, did you go back there?
I got on the highway and came to Florida.
Okay.
They watched me leave.
Okay. And after October 11th, have you had contact with your ex-wife about Tyler?
No.
So the last contact you had with Tina would have been October 11th or 12th?
Yep.
Does she have any reason to be afraid of you?
So I don't think there's been any contacts. And yeah, I don't believe so. That's all the purpose was my son. So
now that she talks about an issue in June of this year where you showed up at her work. Do you remember that?
I'll tell you what it was. I was driving.
No, Todd. Remember, we got to answer the questions. Remember?
Oh yeah. Yes, I remember making contact with her.
Okay. What was your purpose of going to her work in June of 2020?
I didn't go to her work. That's what I was going to explain. If it's okay, I owned a lot of apartment houses I was selling. I happened to go up the road. She pulled in. Tina didn't fill in that we've got along, and we worked on it for years, which is long done now. I'm totally over it. But we communicated. I was pulling in to say hi, as all that was. She knows that.
Have you made multiple threats to kill her?
No, I was drunk, and whatever that voice was, I was obviously drunk as a skunk, swallowing in my misery is all I was doing. No, absolutely not. I'm not going to ever hurt anyone unless I'm protecting my family or protecting someone.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have for now.
Okay, Ms. Good, are there any questions you'd like me to ask Mr. Bristow?
No, but that night that he came here regarding my son, when I did talk to him on the phone, and he was stating that I needed to talk to him about my baby boy, or he was going to make sure that my baby boy was put in prison.
All right, I think I've heard enough testimony. Mr. White, you want to present some argument?
Well, Your Honor, clearly Mr. Bristow's intent was to verify that Tyler was doing well. And he had some concerns. I think if you look at that as a whole, he's a concerned parent that drove all the way from Florida to check on his son. These other previous threats, again, there were no police reports. Ms. Good had tried to get a PPO before and it was denied. This isn't a situation that appears to need a PPO. My client resides in Florida. He hasn't had any contact with Ms. Good since October, and we'd ask that you not issue to set aside the PPO, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. After hearing testimony from both parties, I do believe that a PPO needs to remain in place. I appreciate that Mr. Bristow was saying now that he doesn't have any reason to continue to harass Ms. Good, but it's very clear that he has, particularly the incidents in October, engaged in a pattern of harassment. Calling 17 times or however many times it was is about as clear a harassment as you can get based upon his past behavior and threats. I do believe that Ms. Good is fearful. It's clear she wants no further contact with this man. I'm going to keep the PPO in place.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, I have an order in the file. Thank you.
Todd, I'll be in touch with you later, Todd, okay?
Yeah, I messed up. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome, ma'am. Okay, let's see. Looks like we've got Straub versus Straub and a couple matters on this. It looks like we've got a motion for a status quo and then a pretrial. So let's deal with the motion first.
Good morning, Judge. Brad Berlinski on behalf of the defendant. Ken, do you want to put your appearance? Or?
Yeah, Ken Hotchkiss on behalf of plaintiff Randy Straub.
So Mr. Straub is present. Can you hear me, sir? Quo and then a pretrial. So let's deal with the motion first.
Good morning, Judge.
All right.
Brad Berlinski.
All right. Hold on a minute.
Defendant.
Hold on.
Ken, do you want to put your appearance?
I don't have any name associated with the woman who's appearing on my screen. Are you Heather Ann Straub? You hear me, sir? Quo and then a ma'am, can you turn your YouTube off?
Yep, done.
All right, thank you. All right, so Ms. Straub is present, Mr. Straub is present, and both of their attorneys. And this is defendant's motion for a status quo order. Go ahead, Mr. Berlinski.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. So we filed this motion for status quo order regarding a number of issues. Mr. Hotchkiss and I have been working diligently to try to resolve them over the past few weeks. So to update the court, the lease release has been signed and provided, so that's a non-issue at this point. The health insurance, we're informed, has been reinstated. I believe there's a confirmation number that hasn't been provided, but we're informed that it's been reinstated and will remain reinstated until the matter is resolved or further order of the court. The mortgage and expenses related to the property in Vandercook, primarily related to the mortgage. Mr. Hotchkiss and I have been discussing that in the last few days. There was I think an issue related to a COVID forbearance, but it's our understanding that that will be executed by the mortgagor, Ms. Straub. She's the mortgage holder, and she will execute that. That will mean that October and November payments are then due and owing, and Mr. Straub has agreed to pay those immediately and to assume all financial obligations related to the property pending this matter going forward. We do not have an agreement on the gap between or the forbearance payments. Basically, I think there's 3 months that are being forbeared as related to COVID. That will be resolved at a later date, presumably through either a trial or a settlement. But Mr. Hotchkiss can confirm, but that's my understanding. I have a proposed order that I can tweak based on the discussions this morning to resolve that and present it to Mr. Hotchkiss.
Mr. Hotchkiss, you can confirm that parties have reached agreement on the motion?
That's correct, Your Honor. The only one clarification that I would have is that Ms. Straub has to actually execute the documents. We've been calling it a forbearance, but it's really a second mortgage that they've created with another note. Essentially does the same thing, but she's got to execute those documents prior to my client paying October, November. Otherwise, they apply those payments back to former months. So as soon as she does that, my client is ready to pay those months. He tried to yesterday, but then found out that they would only take 5 months of payments and not the 2 to call it good. So as soon as she executes the documents, we'll be squared away.
Okay, and in terms of a pretrial, looks like you're scheduled for trial here. Well, I don't have the date, but it can't be far away. Do you anticipate there's going to be a need for a trial?
Your Honor, I hope that we can resolve this matter short of trial. I think it was actually scheduled for a date. We received notice from the clerk that that might have to be changed because of your schedule. But if you could put us on the calendar, but I'm hopeful that we just exchanged most of our discovery. I think we completed all but 1 or 2 things I got to get Mr. Belinsky, and I'll have that to him today. So I think hopefully we can work it out. If not, then we'll just utilize whatever trial date you set for us.
Yeah, Judge, I think December 3rd, we were informed, is no longer available. We had not chosen a substitute date yet with Ms. Sherwood. Yeah, I'm awaiting a couple of items of discovery, a 401k, a recent statement, and an appraisal. And I don't think there's too many issues outstanding. I think the parties can probably resolve this matter. We just need the information to be able to make an informed decision. So,
is there any reason you would want the divorce finalized either before or after the first of the year?
There's no reason that I'm aware of, Your Honor. There was some issues with respect to the health insurance. We resolved that. So the necessity of getting it over with before the end of the year is not there.
Right. So if I give you a trial date mid-December, you think you could be ready by then?
I think so, Your Honor. There would only be a couple issues, and they won't be difficult issues for the court.
Yeah, Judge, I'll be ready as long as I can get the information I need, and just the timeliness of that. But as long as Mr. Hotchkiss and Mr. Straub can provide that, then we'll be ready to go.
All right. Well, I'll have Dawn get you a date. Thank you.
Very much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Straub, is that you at the 8338 number?
Yes, sir. That is me.
Okay, I thought so. I thought I remembered that from earlier. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have somebody from another case in my courtroom. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Judge.
Give me a moment. Okay. I think we're done until 10 o'clock. I'm gonna take us off the record. I'll keep the meeting room